Mathematics Without Tears, Chapter 3. Techniques to facilitate the understanding of mathematics. As a student, surely at some point you have heard the phrase en quat. Mathematics is like a language. If you don't personally 39, practice it, you forget it en quat. It in 39 is true. Math requires practice and dedication to understand and remember. But what if this practice is not enough to understand the concepts? This is where techniques to facilitate understanding come into play. Use analogies and metaphors. Analogies and metaphors are a great way to make math concepts easier to understand. By using comparisons with everyday situations, a connection can be made between what is already known and what is being learned. For example, compare the division with the distribution of a cake among several people. To facilitate the understanding of mathematics, especially for those students who have difficulties with the subject, the idea behind this technique is to use an image or idea that is easy to understand to help students visualize and understand a mathematical concept. For example, a common analogy is comparing fractions to pizza. Pizza is divided evenly, which helps students understand how fractions work. In this way, by relating the mathematical concept to something that is familiar and easy to understand, students can develop a deeper understanding of the subject. En quat, math is like a puzzle. Each piece fits perfectly to form a complete picture. Quat. Some other analogies and metaphors that can be used to facilitate understanding of mathematics include: focus on problem solving like a detective game, where the goal is to discover the solution to a mystery. View mathematics as a universal language used to describe the world around us. Compare math concepts to everyday situations or events, such as cooking or building a house, to make them more familiar. Use pictures, diagrams, and models to represent abstract concepts and help visualize them. Focus on the problem-solving process instead of just the end result. En quat. Learning math is like building a building. You have to put each block in its correct place to make the building strong. Quat. En quat math is like a bus network. Each concept is a stop, and you have to know how to connect them to get to your destination. En quat. Quat. Learning math is like cooking a dinner. You have to follow the steps in the correct order to get a delicious result. Quat. Quat. Mathematics is like a garden. You have to cultivate and take care of your knowledge so that it flourishes. En quat. Learning through problem solving. Another technique that can be used to facilitate the understanding of mathematics is learning through problem solving and constant practice. This involves focusing on understanding how to solve a math problem rather than just memorizing formulas or procedures. By solving problems and practicing regularly, you develop critical and confident thinking skills that can be applied to new problems and situations. Furthermore, this technique also helps to increase confidence and self-confidence in math skills. As a student, it is sometimes difficult to understand abstract mathematical concepts. This is where analogies and metaphors can be very useful. For example, imagine that you are learning about fractions. An analogy that can help you better understand fractions is to compare them to a pie. If the cake is divided into 8 equal pieces, and you eat 4 of them, you could say that you have eaten half of the cake. In this way, the fraction of 1/2 becomes something more tangible and easier to understand. Another example could be the metaphor of a scale to explain multiplication. Imagine we have a scale with a weight on one side and a weight on the other. If we add more weight on one side, the other side will become unbalanced and rise. In the same way, if we multiply a number by another number, we are adjusting the weights on each side of the scale. These are just a few examples of how analogies and metaphors can help you better understand math concepts. In Chapter 3, we will further explore these techniques and how they can be useful in enhancing mathematics learning. As a student, I have always found it easier to understand mathematics when I have a concrete visual example before my eyes. One time, my teacher gave us an example that really made me laugh and understand the concept clearly. He asked us, en quat, have you ever gone to the supermarket and bought something that was on sale? For example, buy 2 and get 1 free. En quat. We all nod. So, he continued, in quat. Well, what if you buy 6? How many do you get for free? Quote. We all began to mentally calculate and at the same time exclaimed, Unquat, 2! Quat. The professor smiled at us and said, Unquat. Exactly. We are doing percentage calculations without realizing it. Quat. This concrete and visual example really made the percentage lesson stick in my mind in a fun and effective way. From then on, he always remembered that anecdote when he had to do percentage calculations. From a student and 39TOS perspective, one of my favorite examples of visual learning is when my teacher drew a graph on the board to explain how a linear function worked. Before, I didn't in 39TOS understand why certain numbers were multiplied by a constant, but seeing how a line was drawn on the graph made everything clearer. I liked that class so much that I even started drawing graphs myself to help understand math better. Another visual example that helped me a lot was when my teacher built a 3D model of a geometric figure. I was able to see its features in 3 dimensions and understand how they related to each other. These kinds of visual examples definitely made math more fun and effective for me. Working as a team can be a great advantage in learning mathematics. By sharing ideas and solving problems together, a deeper and more meaningful understanding of the material can be gained. In addition, working in a team can be a fun way to learn, since you can create games and competitions with other students to solve mathematical problems. However, there are also challenges that come with working as a team, such as the need to find reliable teammates and coordinate schedules to meet and work together. But if these obstacles are overcome, teamwork can be a powerful tool in facilitating the process of learning mathematics. Visualize the concepts. The visualization of mathematical concepts is essential to understand them. This may include the use of graphs, drawings, and diagrams to illustrate concepts. For example, by visualizing a mathematical function on a graph, you can more clearly understand how it works and what it represents. Another technique that can be useful to facilitate the understanding of mathematics is to visualize the concepts. This involves creating mental images or drawings that represent mathematical concepts and help to visualize them more clearly. This can help people better understand concepts, remember them more easily, and apply them to real situations. For example, to understand the concept of division, you can visualize a cake and divide it equally to represent the idea of dividing something equally. Graphs and diagrams can also be used to visualize more complex concepts. In addition to these examples, there are also other techniques to facilitate the understanding of mathematics, such as solving examples, practice, and cooperative learning. Do you want to discover more about these techniques and how to apply them in your day-to-day? Keep reading the next chapter. Be happy!